crazy to think that it's been a whole year at this point. Maybe this is just what happens when you become an adult, but time moves differently. As on one hand, it's leaving me with the question, it's over already? And there's a part of me that was like, yeah, that definitely was a year ago. So much has happened. But this is just meant to be a little bit of a update video. If you want more of the details as to how the surgery was, I made a separate video for that already. This is more just like how recovery has been and whatnot. Well, for the most part, it was just a lot of bed rest, as you would imagine. But not as much as you would think. I'm still very surprised to see that after 3 days, I was let go from the hospital. And I had my appendix removed. I was in there for a week. So I was happy that they had more confidence in me than I did at the time. It was a lot of catching up on shows, and as much as I very much pride myself on being able to take care of myself, I realized that this is just one of those things that you can't do alone, and you really realize how much you need people in your life to be able to help you with things, especially when you can't help yourself. So I will admit that was probably the first major hurdle for me is, well, I don't mind the idea of being taken care of. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things I've started to realize I find attractive. So one of the famous scenes is with Gone with the Wind, Rhett Butler just picks up Scarlett and is like, alright, you don't have to lift a finger. And I'm like, oh man, that's hot. So that wasn't the difficult part for me. What was difficult was the idea that I felt useless for a while. Which stands to reason, considering how much had been taken care of. But it was a slow process. I was able to make it back to where I am now. The only thing that's really difficult at this point is sitting down. I'm able to go upstairs just fine. I'm able to drive. I'm able to start cooking again. I'm able to get back to a point where I was before. For the most part, I'm still a little worried about picking up very heavy objects, but maybe that's just me being a little overcautious. And well, the surgery I had prior to this one was a hernia operation, so I don't want to go through that again. In fact, as I'm still recovering, I don't really want to go through another surgery quite yet. So one of the fascinating points that was brought to my attention is, I think back to when we had to read All Quiet on the Western Front in school. There's a very famous passage there where, like, some guy's arm or leg or some other appendage gets blown off, and the whole time he's like, oh, it hurts so much. But yet you look at it and there's just a nub. Where he's feeling pain, there's nothing there. It's called phantom limb syndrome. And I never really felt anything like that when it came to this surgery. It's one of those things where, like, if I really concentrate, I can just imagine the look and feel of it, but in all honesty, it's almost the equivalent of, like, waking up from a really bad nightmare. Like, an example I can give is, there was a nightmare I had where I became a tree. My feet became roots and I was unable to walk away. First thing I did was rip off the covers and made sure I had feet again. Which that was obviously the case. That's very much how it felt like after going through bottom surgery, is the idea that for the first little while I kept ripping off the sheets to kind of be like, is this real? I keep having this reoccurring nightmare where something is there where it shouldn't be. And the first thing I want to note is when I say ripping off the sheets, I mean Like, if I'm in a bed, just remove the sheets, remove the covers. I did not. Well, I was very much afraid to touch that area after they removed the bandages, but, well, that's the thing about having full depth bottom surgery is you have to make sure that it doesn't heal all the way. Like, the best example I can give that would not, I would say demonetize this video, but it was monetized anyway. Get this video an age restriction. It's for anybody that's ever gotten a piercing, like on their ears or whatnot. One of these days I like to do that. There's this idea that you have to keep something in there for a while, otherwise the hole's going to close up. Very similar thing. And that is one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most is, for the first year, you have to be very, very diligent that the hole does not close. It takes up a surprising amount of time. 3 times a day, about an hour each session. That's an extra 3 hours. It makes it hard to cook very lavish meals or even just to be able to relax. It's even kind of cutting into my sleep schedule a little bit. So it's nice that I can at least bring it down to like 2 times a day. Get that extra hour or even hour and a half back that I didn't have before. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention. Well, probably the first question on everybody's mind is, am I happy with it? Duh. I am very happy with it. Like I said before, it feels very much like a really bad dream. The idea that I have a very hard time connecting with that life that I had before. And some people would say it's a classic case of disassociation. But I say it's just the idea that I wasn't really happy before, and now I'm starting to experience happiness. I mean, all I basically have to do is just look at myself in the mirror, and I'm just like, hey, that's pretty good. Where before it was just kind of like, you again, get out of my house. There is one last thing I want to mention. So, one of the things that's been a bit of a blessing and a bit of a curse in having bottom surgery is I have a lot more confidence in myself as a woman now. The only problem is that section of my body was eating up all the resources that gave me dysphoria. And now that it's gone, there's a few other minor things here and there that bring it about. I don't know if the face is anything masculine. I know this thing is causing a lot of troubles. And, well, for a very long time I've been very self-conscious about my cup size, and everybody's just like, give it time, but it's been about 5 years. I don't think I'm getting any bigger outside of more surgery, and I'd like to pass on that. After all, I was really hoping to be a bit more natural anyways. But, on the whole, I'm a lot happier than I have been. I think at this point it's more just about fine-tuning. Picture like some of the old TVs that I use on this channel. It's the idea that I have a pretty good picture right now, but it's all just about getting those fine-tuning adjustments to get the best that I can get out of it. But then again, I guess maybe that's a bit of a problem I have, is it's very difficult for me to settle, so to speak. I just have a lot of people in my life growing up and even now that are just like, if you feel comfortable, then you're not doing your best. You should always feel uncomfortable, so you always have something to strive for. But, well, at this point in my life, I want to just sit on my laurels and enjoy the accomplishments that I've gotten up to this point, because, like, I have no idea how I even got to this point. There were so many times I'm just like, this is probably never going to happen. It's just a fantasy that will never come true, but, well, I've woken up from the nightmare, and now I'm living the dream. I'm not really sure if I'm going to make this a regular thing. I think I'll just stick to the month progress report each time. But I don't know. If you want to hear my progress every year at this time, let me know. But I get the feeling that really every year afterwards, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's real. And so am I. So, until next time, be yourself, no matter who that is.